Namaste. Welcome to the lecture series on the subject Applied Thermodynamics. This is Module 3, Vapor Power Cycles, lecture number 3. Myself, Dr. N. Satish Kumar, Associate Professor of Mechanical Engineering, Canara Engineering College, Bantwal. So in this lecture, we will study the effect of pressure and temperature on Rankine cycle performance. So first we will discuss what if the effect of lowering the condenser pressure on the performance of the Rankine cycle. So it is found that lowering the condenser pressure increases the thermal efficiency of the cycle. Now let us discuss with respect to this TS diagram. You can see, so 1, 2, 3, 4 is the original cycle, and here you can see the condenser pressure which was earlier here, now it is reduced, right? So P4 dash is less than P4. So effect of that is the exit of the turbine, now it is coming down to 4 dash, and the new point after condensation will be the 1 dash, and the new pump work will be 1 dash 2 dash. So the effect of lowering the condenser pressure on the Rankine cycle efficiency is illustrated on a TS diagram as shown in figure. For comparison purpose, the turbine inlet is maintained the same. So point 3 is not changed here. So the turbine inlet, turbine pressure or boiler pressure is maintained same, whereas only the condenser pressure is reduced from 4 to 4 dash. The colored area on this diagram represents increase in net work output as a result of lowering the condenser pressure from P4 to P4 dash. Now as all of you know, the net area enclosed by the TS diagram is nothing but the net heat transfer, which is also equal to the net work transfer. So you can see because of lowering the point from 4 to 4 dash, or lowering the pressure of the condenser from 4 to 4 dash, so this is the colored area, you can see the shaded area, so that increases the net area, right? So which also increases the net work output sorry, as a result of this lowering the condenser pressure. So clearly, so there is increase in net work output because of lowering the pressure. The heat input requirement also increases. You can see instead of 2 to 3 the heat addition process, now it starts from 2 dash to 3. So 2 dash to 2, this much of additional heat input is also required, but this increase is very small. So the overall effect of the lowering the condenser pressure is increase in the thermal efficiency. The net work transfer also increases, but with a small increase in addition of the heat transfer or heat input. Okay. However, the lowest pressure of condenser under ideal conditions is limited to the saturation temperature of the cooling water or the cooling media, because now this condenser, so here the exhaust of the turbine or the steam coming out of the turbine is cooled by means of a cooling water or the air, which is used as the cooling media. Now its saturation temperature, the saturation temperature of this condenser that is limited by this cool temperature of the saturation temperature of the cooling water or the air also. So that limits the pressure to which you can reduce the condenser pressure. And also you can see the quality of the steam also gets deteriorated when you decrease the or lower the condenser pressure. So it becomes more of wet steam, and you know what are the drawbacks of using wet steam. It has a negative effect on the turbine blades. Okay. Now the second is superheating the steam to high temperature increases the thermal efficiency of the cycle. Now previously you discussed lowering of the condenser pressure. Now we are discussing superheating of the steam. Now look into this diagram. So 3 is the initial condition of the steam. Now it is further superheated to 3 dash. So the effect of superheating on the performance of the vapor power cycles is illustrated in this TS diagram. The colored area on this diagram represents the increase in the net work output. So once again, see colored area. You see this is contribution is to increase the net area under TS diagram, which represents the net work output of the cycle. So the effect of increasing the temperature or increasing the temperature of the superheated steam results in increased net work output. The total area under the curve 3 3 dash represents the increase in the heat input. So it also increases the heat input. Thus the net work and the heat input increase as a result of superheating the steam to higher temperature. Suppose if we heat the steam to superheat the steam to higher temperature, it not only increases the net work output, it also increases the heat addition, because to superheat you have to supply extra heat to the steam. The overall effect is an increase in thermal efficiency. However, since the average temperature at which heat added increases. So since you are increasing 3 to 3 dash, so the average temperature of heat addition. What is the average temperature of heat addition? So 2 to 3 is the heat addition process. So average temperature of heat addition is T2 plus T3 by 2. Now since T3 is increased to T3 dash, so average temperature of heat addition becomes T2 plus T3 dash by 2. So mean temperature of heat addition also increases as the thermal efficiency also increases. Superheating the steam to higher temperature has another very desirable effect. So what is that? It decreases the moisture content of the steam. Look at the point 4. Just because you are superheating from 3 to 3 dash, the point or exit of the turbine state also changes from 4 to 4 dash. So where it is shifting to the right in the two-phase region. So it is quality of the steam is improved at the turbine exit because of the superheating. So it decreases the moisture content of the steam at the turbine exit. So that is a very useful effect of increasing the increasing the temperature of the superheated steam. The temperature to which steam can be superheated is limited by the metallurgical considerations, because you should think of the material used for the turbine also. Suppose if you supply the steam at very high temperature, so you should know whether the material of the turbine blades and the casing or the shaft can withstand this high temperature or not. So based on these metallurgical considerations, you have to limit the temperature of the superheated steam supplied to the turbine. Now point number 3, increasing the boiler pressure and temperature increases the efficiency of the cycle. Now here the boiler pressure is increased. You can see now initially 2 to 3, so right, so this is the pressure at which the boiling takes place, or vaporization takes place. Now it is pressure is increased to 2 dash, so the vapor formation takes place during the process 2 to 3 dash. So here maximum temperature is maintained same, only the boiler pressure is increased, right? So boiler pressure is increased for the same temperature. So the increase in operating pressure of the boiler automatically raises the temperature at which the boiling takes place. So saturation pressure, which boiler pressure means nothing but the pressure at which the steam formation takes place. So that is nothing but the saturation temperature also. So when the boiler pressure increases, the saturation temperature also increases. So this in turn raises the average temperature at which heat is transferred to the steam and raises the thermal efficiency of the cycle. So the average temperature of heat addition, you see average temperature of heat addition T2 plus T3 by 2 earlier, now it is T2 dash plus T3 dash. So though T2 is equal to T3 dash, here you can see T2 is more than T2 dash is more than T2, so average temperature of heat addition increases. The effect of increasing the boiler pressure on the performance of the, that is about the TS diagram. Notice that for a fixed turbine inlet temperature, the cycle shifts to the left and the moisture content of the steam at the turbine exit increases, as you can see. Now this is one of the drawback of this increasing the boiler pressure. Now the point 4 is shifted to the left. That means it is of more moisture content. So it is not a favorable effect on the performance of the entire power plant, because it has negative effect on the turbine blades, because higher the moisture content, so there will be erosion and pitting effect on the blades. Now the high moisture content results in erosion of the blade surfaces, affecting their life. Normally the moisture content of the turbine should not exceed 15%. Earlier once I told 10%, but maximum you can go up to 15%. This undesirable side effect can be corrected by reheating the steam. So what you do is, so after partial expansion here, so if you go for reheating, so that we will discuss later. So once again, if you reheat to certain temperature, then again if you expand like this, so then this can be avoided. So you have to use 2 turbines here. In between you have to use a reheater. The efficiency increase. Now what happens is, here you see, when you increase the boiler pressure, you can see here there is an increase in area. You see this pink color shaded region up to here, but here there is a decrease in the W net. You can see here. So the net increase is the difference of these two areas. So as long as pink area is more and this area, dark shaded area, which is the decrease in work net, is less, so if you increase the boiler pressure, the efficiency increases. But at one moment, so those two areas becomes equal, right, and there is no change in the net work output. Further, the moment pink shaded area becomes less and this area becomes more, so your net work output becomes less and efficiency also decreases. So this is what the efficiency increases with the boiler pressure and reaches maximum value, and further it decreases. So it is found out to be 160 bar pressure. So up to 160 bar pressure, if you increase the boiler pressure, the efficiency of the entire plant increases, or the Rankine cycle increases. Further increase in pressure results in fall in efficiency. That means if you plot, actually here there is no diagram, if I can show here, so it increases and further decreases. So here I am plotting boiler pressure. Okay, so this is a boiler pressure and this side is the efficiency. So according to the statement literature available, so up to 160 bar pressure, so this is 160 bar pressure here, so the efficiency increases, further it decreases, as you can see from the diagram. So this is the efficiency versus boiler pressure diagram. Now let us discuss the actual vapor power cycle. So there is always, whatever we studied so far is the ideal vapor power cycle. So always there is some deviation sorry, with respect to the actual vapor power cycle. So actual vapor power cycles differs from the ideal Rankine cycle, and it is illustrated in figure A. So figure A so clearly shows the deviation of the ideal cycle or actual cycle from the ideal cycle as a result of irreversibilities in various components. So what are the causes of this deviation? So it is mainly because of the irreversibility. Now coming to the pump, okay, let us start from the boiler. So fluid friction causes pressure drops in the boiler, condenser and piping between the various components. So mainly the fluid friction so causes pressure drop in the boiler, condenser and the various piping connections. As a result, the steam leaves the boiler at somewhat at a lower pressure. So as you can see, so there is a pressure drop in the boiler. See this thick line, it represents the ideal cycle, whereas this dotted line, so it represents the actual cycle. So there is clear pressure drop in the boiler. Also the pressure at the turbine inlet is somewhat lower than that the boiler exit due to pressure drop in the connecting pipes. So in the boiler there is a pressure drop, also in the connection pipe also there is some pressure drop. Because of that the point is shifts in the when it comes to the turbine inlet. So the pressure drop in the condenser is usually very small. To compensate these pressure drops, water must be pumped to a sufficiently higher pressure than the ideal cycle calls for. So this requires larger pump and larger work. You can see now the pressure drop you studied in the boiler. Now come to the condenser. So here also you can see there is some pressure drop in the condenser, right? So this accounts for the requirement of supply of water at high pressure using pump. So that means if you want to supply the water at high pressure, so it requires larger pump and also the larger work input. The major source of irreversibility is the heat loss from the steam to the surroundings as the steam flows through the various components. So again one more loss is the heat loss. So heat has to be, is a boiler, the steam has to be supplied from the boiler to the turbine, then from turbine to the condenser, and the condensate has to be supplied from the condenser to the boiler using a pump. So during this flow through various pipings, so there is some heat loss. So that is also one major source of irreversibility of the from the steam to the surroundings. to maintain the same level of net work output, more heat needs to be transferred to the steam in the boiler. Now to compensate this heat loss from the steam during its movement through various pipelines, so you need to supply extra heat in the boiler to the steam. Okay, now as a result the cycle efficiency decreases. Now to summarize, so there is pressure drop in the boiler, pressure drop in the condenser, pressure drop in the piping connections, heat loss in the piping connections. So pressure drop leads to large size of the requirement of the large size of the pump and large pump work input, and this heat loss in various devices and the piping connections makes the system or the more heat to be transferred to the steam in the boiler. Now also the irreversibilities in the turbine and the compressor leads to extra work input for the compressor and reduction in work output from the turbine. So compressor and turbine I'm not going to explain much because already I explained about this in the Brayton cycle, that second module. Because of irreversibility, the actual work input for the compressor increases, whereas in case of turbine the actual work output decreases. So the deviation of actual pump and turbine works, right, because of irreversibilities are accounted by the isentropic efficiencies. So isentropic efficiency of the pump is defined as isentropic work divided by actual work. So in case of pump or compressor, so isentropic work is less actually. So if the process would have been isentropic, you require less work. Because of irreversibility, the actual work required increases. So it is the ratio of the isentropic work by actual work, that is H2S minus H1 divided by H2A minus H1. But in case of turbine, as all of us know, that the irreversibility leads to reduction in net work output from the turbine. So the actual work is less, whereas the ideal work is more. So that is very clear from this diagram. You can see now these two expressions are written with reference to this TS diagram. So 1 to 2S is isentropic work, 1 to 2A is the actual work input for compressor, whereas 3 to 4S is the ideal work, 3 to 4A is the isentropic work output from the turbine. So actual work input required for compressor increases, whereas actual work output of the turbine decreases because of reversibility. So denominator always has to be smaller quantity. So for pump it is isentropic work by actual work, for turbine it is actual work by isentropic work. So actual work is H3 minus H4A and isentropic work is H3 minus H4S. Okay, so here states 2A and 4A are the actual exit states of the pump and the turbine respectively, whereas 2S and 4S are the corresponding states for the isentropic case. So with this I conclude this lecture number 3 and will continue in the lecture number 4. Thank you.